Hi. I thought today I would talk to you about NLP more in general. I've talked a lot about back to school. I've talked about sports, which is my current project, Engaging NLP for Sport, which completes the Engaging NLP series of 10 books. It's been sitting there waiting to be finished for a while, I'm afraid. I'm somewhat embarrassed about it. So, let me tell you about how I explain NLP to children. Because sometimes I find it helpful for them to understand how their mind works, especially if they have those intrusive negative thoughts, these beliefs about themselves, these limiting beliefs about themselves. And this is a way to help them understand where these come from, I find. I was going to do a podcast, but I usually wave my arms around quite a lot when I'm explaining things. So I thought, well, let's make this a video. So, how I explain it is this: I say that, here we go with the waving arms. Um, Something happens in your life. Somebody says something to you. The teacher tells you off. You're, I don't know, late for a class. You've forgotten your PE kit. Something happens. And we call that an activating event. It's out of your control. I guess forgetting your PE kit may not be, but a lot of stuff for a child is out of their control. So that's over there. It's like outside of us. But then we process it. And this is why I use my hand in front of my face. We use our mind to process it. So, what happens is if you imagine like filters going through your mind, remembering the last time that happened or what somebody has said about that, or if you forget your PE kit, you'll get a detention. There are memories, there are experiences, there are things that have happened in the past which informs how you feel about that activating event. There's also beliefs that you have about um, that activating event. Oh, it always happens to me. Why do bad things always happen to me? Why am I so stupid? Why am I so forgetful? Why are people so mean to me, etc., etc.? So there's those sort of beliefs that we have. These aren't facts. These are simply beliefs, things that we hold to be true in that moment of experiencing the activating event. Then there are values. There are the way we've been brought up and societal values about what's important, what's good, what we should and shouldn't do. So there are all these things that sort of flood in and help us process, which is why how we process is really quite unique to us. Because although you might have 30 kids in the classroom, all of the same age, they will have different experiences in their life. Even siblings will have different beliefs because maybe the older sibling has, had it probably quite tough. She says, speaking as an older sibling, that a lot's expected of you, but when the second one comes along, parents are a little bit more relaxed, perhaps, and you can get away with a bit more, and you don't feel quite like you have to be sort of like perfect and so responsible. I don't know. Everybody's different. Every family is different. But what I'm saying is that siblings will not necessarily have the same beliefs as is each other about the same situation. Um, and so there's all this processing goes on in our mind. And then from that, what comes out is what we call an internal representation, which is what I make this mean in this moment. And that can be in a moment. You can be in a class, not understand what the teacher said. The teacher said something, activating event, beliefs and all the processing. Oh, I'm stupid. Why don't I understand that? I'm so dumb. Why aren't I smart like so and so? Internal representation is, oh, this is hopeless. I'm useless at maths, English, or whatever. However, that moment can change because a new activating event has happened. The teachers maybe explained it slightly differently. Maybe you're auditory and they explain it differently. They talk through the diagram that's up there that maybe the visual person will get. And then, okay, right, okay, I've got it now. So the internal representation has already changed. Which is why these beliefs are not facts. They change. So it could be, oh, right, I get it now. Oh, right, okay, fine, I'm okay. So those things happen, internal representation. And the next thing that happens is that there is something that you say, something you do, a behavior, and there's a feeling. And then it then flows round to the next activating event. So activating event, processing based on experiences, beliefs, etc. Also things like whether we process more visually, with our hearing, auditorily or kinesthetically. All of these things, whether we're big chunk, small chunk, choices, internal, external, and away from towards those, the meta programs. I help children understand all of this processing. And in a sense, that's what happens when I'm working with a child. I might be using more energy healing methods if it's a much more of a feelings thing. And so it might be more into the sort of subconscious with the sort of the tapping, and maybe more NLP. It may be more creative, maybe looking at things in a different way, and using a creative approach. But here we're talking about NLP specifically. I would say that no session with me is purely one thing or the other. There's going to be a flow from one thing to one method, one activity to another, as I feel it will help the child, which is why all of my books really cover pretty much everything. So back to NLP. So it helps children to understand that beliefs are not facts. They can challenge them. They can go, okay, hang on a sec. You know, is this a belief that I'm thinking here? Is this a helpful belief? I mean, I had a session the other day with a child, and we were looking at beliefs and facts and dividing them in terms of, is this a helpful belief, which we call a resourceful belief in NLP? Is it an unhelpful belief, which is a limiting belief? It so helps them to understand that they can change these beliefs. And there's actually a great explanation by Mo Gawdat, who I frequently mention, who wrote a book called Soul for Happy. And I actually heard about him through Elizabeth Day's podcast, which is called How to Fail. Anyway, so Mo Gawdat says A plus B equals C. A is the activating event. Remember, it's up there. A is the activating event. Plus B is the belief that you have about it, equals C, the consequence. Now, you can't control the activating event, not really. It's happening outside of you. C is the consequence. Well, think about what you want the consequence to be. What do you want the result to be? And then what is the belief I need to put in place? What is a good belief, a better belief to have in order for the consequence to be achieved? And so a lot of teachers will put in, say, like a yet. I can't do it yet. And that's really good. That's really helpful. There's other ones which are perhaps a little bit more where you allow the child to decide for themselves what would be a better belief. And I feel that works a little bit better because they've come up with it. So it's like, I know if I work hard on this, I will get it. Or if I concentrate, I will get it. If I look again, if I read it again, I'll be fine. So when they come up with those words for the better belief for them, then that sort of rings true for them, because it's it's their thoughts, that's their decisions, their solutions, shall we say. So that's how I explain NLP to children. It's the neuro, it's the what we think, and our experiences, our processing. It's all the things that go on in our head, all of those neuroplasticity, the sort of those sort of thoughts that can easily be changed. Then there's the linguistic, which is how we express those either internally, oh, I'm so silly, or externally, or it can be body language. Slumping over your desk and head down is not really a very positive can-do stance. And I've seen quite a few videos actually talking about this and how actually sitting up tall, looking up, and having your shoulders sort of quite solid, and believing in yourself is a really good way to have a good attitude towards your lesson. In fact, they're bringing in EFT tapping in a lot of schools now, where you actually start the lesson, or certainly start the day at registration, with some tapping, so that you get children in a really good learning state. And I show children how to do that for themselves with a little bit of finger tapping, under the desk, to clear any negative thoughts. So neuro is the thinking, etc., the processing. Linguistic is how that sort of is expressed, body language and your words. And then programming is the patterns. Now, if we don't like the patterns, the program that we're experiencing, the results we get, what we have to do then is like work our way back around that, thinking, okay, what were the beliefs? What are the beliefs I'm operating here? Is this working for me? Is there a better belief that I can put in place? And it's about controlling your controllables. Take control of your mind. Take control of what you can control, which is how you think about a thing, and recognize that a belief is not a fact. And that it can be changed. You have the power to change it to get the consequence that you want, or the program that you want. I really hope that's been helpful.